Hello everyone, welcome to a new chess video. Today I'm bringing you an absolutely amazing trap that's going to leave your opponents with no options at all, and in the worst cases, crying. Yesterday I asked you for 500 likes to see this trap, and of course we reached that goal. That's why today I'm bringing you this incredible trap. It's with the black pieces, just like you all love, and also against the move e4, which is the most popular move for white. In other words, this trap has it all. Let's take a look. We'll play e5, the double king's pawn opening, the most traditional. Knight to f3, attacking this pawn, and we'll play knight to c6 to defend it. As you can see, everything is very standard up to this point, and most games are played this way. Bishop to c4, continuing with the most common line in the Italian opening. And here, I'm going to suggest the move knight to f6. I know a lot of you don't like this move because you're really afraid of this other move here, which is called the fried liver attack. Well, after watching this video, you'll actually want your opponents to play this attack against you because I'm going to show you how to punish it in a way that will leave your rivals amazed. So what should I do? Should I play d5, the most traditional move here? No, obviously we're going to set a trap for our opponent. We need to understand that what they're attacking is this square here with the knight and the bishop. So what we're going to do is not defend it and just give away our knight. We take this pawn. Notice it's defended by the knight. So chess teacher, you're losing your mind. You already know that's true. I'm always losing my mind. But hey, this works because I've won a ton of games playing this trap. Let's look at all the options. First, what happens if they take this knight, right? What happens if we're giving away a knight and they take it, chess teacher? You're down a piece. What's going on? Well, here we have the strong move d5. Notice that d5, what is it doing? It's a fork on the bishop and the knight. So right away, we'll be getting the piece back. And here, white has a lot of options. For example, if they move the bishop, we take, let's see, if they move the knight, we take the bishop and end up a pawn up, the e4 pawn. On the other hand, oops, I dropped a piece. On the other hand, if they don't want to lose this pawn and recapture the pawn here, notice that they've traded their light squared bishop, which is super powerful, for our knight. So this is a favorable exchange for us. It's true that here they can attack your queen with the other knight while also defending this knight here, but in this case, I recommend you just move back and play this very comfortable position for you, because it's an open position and you have the bishop pair. All right, this is all very good, but now we get to the interesting part of the video. Let's see, we take this pawn here. We've seen what happens when they take this knight here, but chess teacher, with such a strong threat right here, who would actually take this knight? If they do take this knight, you already know how to respond. But now comes my favorite part of this trap. When your opponent gets greedy and wants to win and tries to take this pawn here, for example, with the knight, notice that now this knight is forking your queen and your rook. Plus, it's protected by the bishop, so it looks like a really brutal threat. Chess teacher, how do I counter this threat? Don't worry, we've got some tricks up our sleeve. We're going to move our queen straight to h4. What are we doing here? We're making an even stronger threat than our opponent. First of all, what are we threatening? A brutal checkmate if our opponent takes the rook, right? Which they won't do. We just deliver a brutal checkmate. So now our opponent is no longer threatening our rook. That's for starters. Notice that here the opponent has several options to escape checkmate. What's the most logical one? g3. So I'm going to show you how to crush your opponent in a brutal way when they play g3. Here, the amazing move is knight takes pawn. You'll see, you're going to have a really, really, really good time playing this, okay? Because you're going to win a ton of games. We sacrifice the knight, but are we really sacrificing this knight? Let's look at all the options. First option, what happens if they take this knight with this pawn? Nothing, because we take the rook with check, and here we're winning. So they can't take this knight with this little pawn because of the rook, right? What happens, for example, if they say, well, I don't buy it and I take the rook, which, sorry, that can also happen. Notice that right now we've taken two pawns and our opponent has taken a whole rook. But then we simply put the queen in front of the king, queen to e4 check, and notice that a very beautiful checkmate is coming here. The king can't move thanks to this knight, so they have to block, and once they block, we come and take the rook here with check. They have to block again, and now it's checkmate. So they can't capture with this one because we take it. They can't take the rook because we deliver checkmate with the queen over here. But what happens if they take with this pawn here? Is everything lost? Careful, not everything is lost. Sorry, this bishop is here just so I don't forget, okay? This is how it stands, all right? And what happens if they take with this pawn? Then we simply give another check here in the center of the board. Check. And notice that now they might try to come here to connect the queen with the rook, and then we wouldn't be able to take the rook. However, we have a bishop move that's completely winning. Bishop to c5, check. And now the king has to go back. Once it goes back, it stops connecting the queen with the rook. So now we're free to take with check. The king has to move. We can even bring in the knight here with check, and this king has to keep running. I guess he won't want to step into the bishop's discovered attack. So he'll come this way, and no matter what he does, we'll take the queen. We're up a queen, up a rook. At this point, if you can't win this, if you don't know how to win from here, then you need to practice a bit more, okay? Pay attention because I'm going to show you a move that people play against me a lot, and you can punish it in a brutal way. First, we take here, they hit us with the fork, and now what do we have to do? Well, bring the queen into the attack, remember? But here, a lot of people play the surprisingly bad move, queen to f3. They think that by doing this, they're reinforcing here, defending against mate, and attacking the knight, but this is actually a huge mistake. What they're really doing is helping us bring another piece into the attack with a lot of force. Check this out, okay? Knight to d5. We bring in both knights. Now we're attacking this queen, and we're attacking this square here. If the queen moves, we'll deliver checkmate. So what happens here? The threats are just way, way too big. There's even a little trick that a lot of people try to find, which is to sacrifice this knight, giving check, right? We can definitely take it, and notice that they might try to come in here. But that's nothing more than a check because we just move the king aside and now they have nothing left. For example, how can we continue from here? Now, here the white pieces can castle, for example, and we're gonna attack the queen. Notice that this queen can only go here, and with a knight move, like this one, the queen is going to be completely trapped. See, it can't go anywhere. The best they can do is take this rook, and we'll just capture the queen. So what happens? They've gotten themselves into trouble. Queen to f3 is a terrible move. Important, when we play queen to h4, we've seen that most defenses lose. But what happens if, for example, they don't take the rook, they don't play g3, they don't play queen to f3? We've looked at all these options, but there's still another one. What happens if they castle right away? They're already protecting this square with the rook and the king. There's no checkmate anymore, and they're still threatening our rook. Chess teacher, what should I do? Don't worry, because we've got a killer move. We sacrifice the knight again. This knight gets sacrificed in almost every line. Look, knight takes on f2. So what happens now after sacrificing this knight? Well, what we're going to do is bring our bishop into play to pin this rook. Look, a pinned piece is one that can't move because the king is behind it. So now what? Well, white is in serious trouble. They have to try to defend themselves somehow, for example with queen to f3 so they don't lose the rook outright. Look, now it would mean losing the rook outright. They have to defend it somehow. Queen to f3 seems like one of the few moves that defends. So we have to keep going, for example, with this rook here. It's very important. Look, okay? Could we trade rook for, bishop for rook? Obviously, yes, but it's not necessary. Why? Because this piece, since it's pinned, shouldn't be moved. So we'll be able to capture it whenever we want. We just bring another piece into the attack, and notice that now the attack is even stronger than before because we're also pinning this knight to the queen. So we've got them tied up. And when should I trade, chess teacher? Well, when you're forced to. For example, now they're starting to threaten us with the queen, so now, yes, what do? We start trading everything. Bishop takes rook, and then when they recapture, for example, queen takes bishop, we take advantage of having brought this rook over here, and now this knight is pinned. They can't defend it any other way. We're attacking it with 3 pieces and it's only defended by 1. So here, no matter what they do, whether they attack our queen or whatever, we take this knight and notice that we end up with a totally favorable exchange. Whether queens are traded or not, we end up with a rook and a pawn up. That's enough of an advantage to win the game. Very good, chess teacher. I'm really loving this. But what happens if instead of taking with the knight, they take with the bishop and give check? All right, we haven't looked at that yet. Well, don't worry, because I'm also going to show you how to win if they check you. Hey, but here I'm forced to move the king. Yes, and we're going to move it without any problem, because here we're going to set up a truly amazing trap. Let me tell you something. How do I know you guys like these videos? Well, the only way I can tell is by seeing your support. So if you leave a lot of likes, it means you enjoy this video or this kind of video. And that way, I'll upload more videos like this to this channel. So if you give it a big like and I see a lot of support, I'll keep uploading this kind of content every day, and we're going to keep having a great time. All right, now let's see. We play the king here. Sorry, we got off topic. They can take our knight, we can take the bishop, and notice that now our king is left very exposed. It can be easily attacked, for example, with a piece like the queen. But what happens then? Here, they only have the knight to attack, and that's not really strong. It's not strong enough to win the game for them. We can hide either on g8 or e8, and absolutely nothing will happen. Let me give you an example and show you a trap you can stop if someone tries this kind of attack on you. For example, queen to c3 might look like a strong attack, a strong threat. I'm not even speaking right. A strong threat because the queen is coming in and the knight is coming in too. However, all we have to do is move our king back to where it was. King to e8, nothing happens here. Notice that they might try to come in with the knight, but right now it's defended by the queen. So a natural move would be d3 to support it with the bishop and the knight. How do we respond to this move? Well, what we're gonna do is play d5, forcing the knight to move. Where can it go? Well, it seems like we're helping it jump over here to take advantage of this checkmate. And this is where we're gonna set our star trap. We'll play queen to f6, which is not only the best move, but also a brutal trap. If they trade queens, we end up with a huge positional advantage. Since we control the center, their knight would have to retreat, and we have the bishop pair. So we're much better off here. However, notice that by playing queen to f6, we're giving away this pawn on d5. And what happens if they get greedy and take it? Because man, do they get greedy, especially when we're playing online. We leave a pawn hanging, bam, they snatch it up instantly. Well, now we have the brutal move, knight to d4, and now this knight and rook jump is completely unstoppable. There's absolutely no way to stop it. And you, since I've caught you, are probably thinking, hey, why not? And what if I put the queen here? Ah, my friend, I caught you, huh? See, you would fall for the trap too. That's why you should give it a like too. So let's play this move right here. Notice that we're not sacrificing the pawn because it's protected by the knight. Where can this queen go? The only place to keep defending the spot is to come back here, right? Well then, we have the wonderful move that I love, bishop to b4. And we're pinning the queen. A fantastic tactic. This queen can't go anywhere because the king is behind it. It's pinned. And if they take the bishop, which looks like a gift, then we simply jump in here, knight takes pawn, check, but it's a triple check. Check, we take the rook and we take the queen. So when the king moves, you get to decide what to capture. Obviously, I recommend you take the queen. Since you all have been behaving so well with me lately, I'm going to show you a final line that's going to blow your mind. No, even more than that. Knight to c3, knight to c6 to defend, bishop to c4. We bring the knight to f6, and in the fried liver attack, we take this pawn. What happens when they capture with the bishop? That's what we were just looking at. We simply come over here, and after these pieces are exchanged, what are we going to do? Check this out, okay? For example, as we were seeing, queen to f3, we tuck the king away. And now, after a move like d3 to come over here, we play d5. You remember this, right? All right, what happens if instead of coming to attack, they fall back? Well, I've got a fantastic idea for you. 5. We're threatening to play h4, and this knight is retreating. We're also threatening to come in here with the queen right here. We're throwing out some serious threats. So this pawn is basically a gift, and usually they'll take it. But what happens when they take this pawn? They're falling right into our trap, as always. Queen to h4. Now we're threatening the knight with two pieces, so it has to retreat. And how do we keep this line going? Well, now we're going to bring the knight over here, threatening the queen, and also this spot right here. Only move, you already note it. The only move to defend the queen in this square is to bring the queen here. And now we bring the bishop into the attack. Notice that we're coming in with everything. There's no way for them to defend themselves. The only move? F3. And now the star move, the bomb move, we sacrifice the queen for the knight. Check out what a brutal bomb this is, because they can't take the queen. If they do, rook takes rook, check, and when the king hides and gets out of check, we'll take their queen. Look at the position we're left with, right? We're up a piece after sacrificing the queen. This line is a bomb. Alright, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Remember, if you like this kind of video, leave me a like so I know. And I'll make a lot more videos like this one. If you don't want to miss our daily video, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because that way YouTube will let you know every time I upload a new video. See you in the next video, friends. Bye.